All right, welcome to another episode of the Armored Hoops podcast. This is episode 70, and it is a Wednesday night special. We haven't done a Wednesday night. I believe this is the first Wednesday night ever, at the very least, since we joined the Sports Fluent media about a year ago. And we got an awesome episode ahead of us, the March Madness. Joining me are my two brothers, John Driscoll and Matt Driscoll. How we doing, boys?
Hey, H, thanks for having us on, man.
Hey, H, always a pleasure. This is I know we've been doing this a little over a year, but I think last March Madness episode is definitely in the top 3 of my favorite episodes. Might even crack top 1. So I'm excited to do this again this year.
It was a great episode last year for sure. It was actually the first episode in which we were under Chilton Hoops for a few weeks there, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, it's still under Sports Fluent Media, so that's awesome. But joining us, he was here last year, now he's here this year again for maybe make it a tradition. We got a member of the Deuce Tatum Fantasy Basketball chats, Timmy McEnany.
Thank you for having me, AH. We don't have to talk about the fantasy team this year. We took a step back, but
former champion though.
Former champion.
Let's give credit where it's due. Former champion.
I already gave my long apology as to when I ran into a bunch of injuries this year, and then I just kind of quit. It was definitely a mental mistake on my end. Yeah, I ran into too much, and then it was very bad. But I digress though. We'll talk about that on a different day because we got an awesome episode ahead of us. I was literally I clicked go live. I was like, oh crap, I don't have a number 70 for today. So easy. Let's see. So Dennis Rodman wore the number 70 with the Dallas Mavericks in 2000. I always forget how to say his name. Nemanja Bjelica from the Miami Heat in 2021. I believe he was on the Warriors in 2022 as well. And who else? One more got. I don't know this guy, but he was on the Celtics in 2015. Gigi Datmo. All guys who were 70. So, there you have it. This segment's getting less and less fun. Given that I have to look this is extra work for me every single time. It's a simple Google search and then clicking on the basketball reference page. But
this is the Jose Buto episode. That's who it is.
That's right.
Right.
That's a shame. So yeah, the guys. Yeah, you mean the guy's going to probably pitch we're going to be our number 2 pitcher this year? Is there? I just after this, based on what we're looking at, but I'm pretty sure he's under 2 actually. But so all right, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's. I was about to say that's like all the NBA talk we're gonna have, but like it's like we're gonna have some NBA talk, but that's not gonna be towards the end of the episode. As I mentioned, we have a March Madness. This is a March Madness special, and we're super psyched about it. So, to start off, yeah, I guess we'll just dive right into it. We can jump right into the top left portion of the bracket. So that's the South portion. So it's headlined by Auburn and Michigan State. Obviously, there were a lot of big names there too, including North Carolina and Yale. So Timmy, if you wanted to start us off, you want to give your takes on any of these teams?
Yeah. So this is, I would say, my overall chaos bracket. I think, or some region. Looking at this bracket, if anything happens, nothing would surprise me. You have teams like Auburn, who is the number 1 overall seed, had the highest peak all year, but they just lost 3 of their last 4. You have Louisville, who I guess I'll get into this now, got absolutely screwed.
Yeah.
If you go down the AP poll, you go 1 AP poll seed versus tournament seed. It's 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-2, 6-2, 7-2, 8-2, 9-3, and then 10-8. So that is insane. But I guess the committee rewarded them by giving them their first 2 rounds in Lexington, which could be a huge advantage. Then you have a Michigan team who you never know who's going to come out to play. They turn the ball over like crazy. They have the best big man tandem in the country, so they have that going for them. But their reward for winning the Big Ten and being hot is playing the best mid-major in the country. That's actually an awful matchup for them, who creates turnovers and is just a nightmare for a turnover-happy team. I think they almost average 15 turnovers a game. And then you go down, you have A&M, who can't really shoot the ball. I think they're the worst shooting team in the SEC, if I remember. And then you have a Yale team who was undefeated in conference except for 1 loss towards the end of the year. And they're very experienced. They have the conference player of the year, Mbez Mbang, who is also the defensive player of the year. Then they have John Poulikitis, who can put up 20 in any given game. And they also just have experience. I mean, they beat a really, really good Auburn team last year. And then you have Ole Miss, UNC, who probably shouldn't be in, but now that they're in, they are scary. I mean, would never want to play them. And then you got Michigan State. You have the Izzo kind of aura behind that team. They're very deep. I wouldn't say they have like a pure scorer. So like they play a lot of guys and they're very high energy, high defensively, and they come out in the second half and play very well. They have Trey Hallman with essentially Cassius Winston 2.0. They have the best dunker in the NCAA, great freshman, and then they have good big men. So that's like the broad overview. So if you guys want to go into your picks, we can go there, and then I'll give mine at the end.
Yeah. Timmy, I would say like this is like your bracket. You got the or your region for the bracket. You got the Ivy League winner, unfortunately knocked off Cornell in the championship game.
Yep.
Cornell didn't even cover, 5.5, lost by 6. We'll discuss that deeper later. And you also got your team Michigan in there. Like you said, I'll talk about Michigan for a second. It is kind of a crappy matchup because UC San Diego forces a ton of turnovers and Michigan is addicted to turning the ball over. However, UC San Diego, I think the tallest guy in their rotation, granted, the only game I watched was half watching their championship game and at a bar in Hoboken on Saturday night. But their only rotation guy, I believe the tallest guy was 6'7", and Michigan obviously has those 7-footers. Maybe UC Irvine in the final, if I'm remembering correctly, who their best player was a 7-footer, and UC San Diego kind of clamped him. He had 4 turnovers, and I think he only had 10 points. But I think a 7-footer from UC Irvine is a little different than the 2 7-footers from Michigan. I mean, like you said, they run a pick and roll. It's really cool to watch. I mean, they are on the perimeter a lot more than people. That's people's big complaint. But they're still an elite tandem. To get more into the bracket, I don't know if John, if you have any comments on that matchup, or should I just do a little broad overview as well?
Which matchup?
Michigan, UC San Diego, or Texas A&M, Yale. We can talk Ivy League.
Yeah, I think those are the 2 games where you're going to see a lot of people have upsets in their brackets.
Well, I think you could also argue that, and maybe this people won't really pick as like an upset, but Ole Miss UNC is an interesting matchup too. I have Ole Miss. I actually, I think they're a fun team to watch. I've watched them a little bit this year, but I think UNC kind of dominating last night maybe puts a little bit of fear into people who maybe have Ole Miss going into, past the round of 32, maybe even into the Sweet 16. Because Timmy, you said it best, like they probably didn't deserve to make it to the tournament, but now that they are in, and I think I forget who I was listening to on a podcast the other day, but it was like, it might have been John, I always butcher his last name, John Rothstein. He said, definitely don't think, and a lot of these like big time NCAA basketball analysts say like they were pretty pissed off that UNC made it this far or made it to the dance a little bit here, but now that they're in, like they do have talent and they do have tournament experience, so you're not necessarily happy to run into a team like that. So I think Ole Miss, North Carolina is going to be a pretty fun game to watch. But yeah, like you said, both of you, Texas A&M and Yale, Michigan. I still do have Michigan beating UC San Diego. I think the size, even though Michigan does turn the ball over a lot, they do play a pretty unique style of basketball that I don't think that UC San Diego can necessarily match. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Matt, you can take a little bit of a deeper dive, or Timmy too, on when we get down into the weeds of the Sweet 16, Elite 8, that kind of stuff. But this is like you said, Timmy, the kind of the chaos region. There's a lot of stuff that could go on, and I'll touch a little bit more on it later with Auburn and Michigan State. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting region for sure.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy that Timmy brought up Louisville Creighton just because he's obviously Louisville is like the headline of the game about how screwed over they got. Like they should easily be in the top 4, if not like the top 2 or 3. But going up against Creighton. Creighton is by no means an easy win too. So it's not like like you could also debate that Creighton was screwed over as well. Maybe not screwed over, but like they could have easily been like a top 6-7 seed. So yeah, like I feel like like the couple times that St. John's played Creighton, like there was like overall like a physical game. So obviously it's March, so like all the games are going to be physical and they're going to go down to the wire, but like this could be a bloodbath of a game, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch because if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure these two teams were like rivals when they were both in the Big East.
Yeah, it's also just a bracket with a ton, especially if you look at the top with Creighton, Michigan, and Auburn. Those are just teams with stacked big men. Like those are Kalkbrenner is probably the best pure center. Him and Vlad Golden in the entire country. I would classify Janai Broom more of a 4 in my opinion. But I mean, Kalkbrenner, we've seen him carry teams far in the tournament, and they have a lot of experience too. They just lack a little depth, but they do stay out of foul trouble. So,
yeah, I'm happy I let you go, Chris. Before I tried to interrupt you, the Louisville Creighton game, I think, is the most interesting game of this region. Definitely, maybe in the entire bracket. Because I could technically see Louisville pull an upset in the next round versus Auburn, especially it being, I don't see. That's the thing. I think Auburn would kind of handle Creighton, but I think Creighton could absolutely beat Louisville. I mean, Rupp Arena. I know Louisville's playing Kentucky all the time, but maybe they're just cursed. 4-16 in the last 20 there. But we mentioned Kalkbrenner, who's 4-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year. He's an absolute stud. I was at the Big East final, not to flex on you guys, on Saturday. And the first half, St. John's was scared to go into the paint. They were settling for a lot of mid-ranges. They were missing a lot. And then at halftime, I was watching Red Storm Rising. Patino lit them up about being soft. So then they came out in the second half. They were playing a little bit more aggressive. But Ashworth had an awful game. And, and Creighton still stayed in it for, last like 5-7 minutes. St. John's pulled away. But Creighton still stayed in it. We could talk about Ashworth, about to turn 35. He's still playing college ball, but that's a different.
You might be getting a coworker at in a couple months. I'm happy you touched on Auburn. I watched Auburn like a few times this year, and then I really watched them this past weekend against Tennessee. And this might be just like an overreaction. And I probably picked if an Auburn fan is watching this, I probably picked the worst time ever to like really pay attention to them because they were a lot less impressive than when I watched them in the past. And that could just be like we're going to be a 1 seed. We dominated all year. Do we really need to waste our energy on this tournament kind of thing? But they looked a lot more beatable than what I would have expected. They lost, but they looked a lot more like, and I know Tennessee is a pretty underrated team. But yeah, I don't know. I think, you talk about Louisville and Creighton, an opportunity to upset Auburn. And I'll take it even a step further. If you have Michigan in your Sweet 16, does the size of Michigan, does that give them an opportunity to kind of knock off Auburn in a sense? I know Auburn's a little more versatile, a little more athletic, but, I think Michigan might be almost primed to give Auburn their best shot.
Yeah, there's a little narrative to there too with Trey Donaldson transferring to Michigan this year he was at Auburn last year. So that's also another thing in this bracket. But I guess just to move along, I would say my upsets in this would be Yale. I think A&M relies on the offensive glass a bit too much. I think Yale's too experienced in the tournament in general. I think they're just a machine. I guess to highlight what else I have North Carolina in my Sweet 16.
Whoa.
I have them beating Iowa State. I wanted to take Iowa State to go very far until I heard about Keyshawn Gilbert being hurt. He's second in scoring for them. He's the first in assists. He's he's the engine that makes them go. And without him, I don't know. RJ Davis is third all time in ACC point. I don't know. I find it tough to go against this team, this UNC team. I even think they came out opening line against Ole Miss as a favorite. So I don't
Yeah.
know. There's a lot to think about, but I have my Sweet 16 out of this bracket is Auburn, Michigan, North Carolina, and Michigan State. And then I have Michigan State, Auburn, although I think Michigan could give them a run for their money. I just think they're too turnover prone, and I think it's going to catch up to them eventually. And then I have Michigan State exiting and going to the Final Four.
I love the Michigan State love. Defense
Yeah, as a
travels,
Michigan
Timmy. That's
fan,
all I'm saying.
I can't believe I did this, but I did.
We didn't touch on this game, but Marquette, New Mexico is also a very interesting one.
You might as well flip a coin with Donovan Dent
Yeah,
and Cam Jones.
Cam Jones
It's
is
just going to be a show.
I think Cam Jones is one of the most underrated guards. I think the first time St. John's played them, the four of us were at the game. Me, Chris, Dad, and Matt. But that might have been the game you guys showed up a little late to.
Yeah.
But Cam Jones got into foul trouble early, and he didn't get to play as much. And that, I think that's why St. John's won that game, because they got lucky with how little he played that game. Because I think when they played, what was the next time they played him? Was it at
Marquette, last game of the season?
And he fried him. He had 13 quick, right? Or maybe that was in the Big East.
He had over 30
Yeah.
when they played the last game of the regular season.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think we've talked about it. We'll talk more about St. John's down the line, but they play guards really well, but it didn't really seem to matter. He's very, very talented.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that's been so good for so long that people kind of just stop talking about him because it's just expected. But I agree. He's just, I have Marquette winning that game, but it's just a coin flip to me. And I think I'm just going to go with the more experienced, I like Cam Jones as well. But I think he's just so good that people are like, oh, he had another 25-point game. He scored another 20. There's 18. It's just expected.
Longest streak with 10-plus points in all of college basketball, Cam Jones. But then again, two great coaches going up, Shaka Smart and then Rich Pitino, future St. John's assistant, Rich Pitino. But I have New Mexico State just because I like Richard Pitino more than Shaka Smart. That's the only reason why. I really have no idea. You said flip a coin, so I don't really like Shaka Smart. That's why. But let me see. I have, coming out of this reason, I believe I have Michigan State beating Auburn in the Elite Eight. Very fun having the 1 and 2 play each other. I had Auburn beating Michigan to get there, and then I had Ole Miss losing to Michigan State. I think I really like Chris Beard. Rick Pitino was very high praise of him on part of my take. So I'm just trusting Ole Miss. I could totally see UNC beating them in the first round. But I think whoever wins that game goes to the Sweet 16.
I agree. I think it's just Iowa State's just a health problem.
Yeah. I really wanted them to go far. I think you just said. Did you just say that to me?
Yeah.
I feel like I always pick them to go far.
Here, I love them this year. They've been at the top all year long. It's just.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had them in my Final Four last year. They were just they were a really good defensive team, and that's kind of something I've always. We've talked about in the past. I probably watch so much more college basketball this year than I have in the past. But when I'm picking brackets, and I don't really have a great track record of being correct in these things, but I always like leaning on the teams that play defense because it's a lot more easy to control and easy to carry over into March.
All right, so Timmy had Michigan State making the Final Four. Matt, who'd you have again? Who'd you say?
Michigan State. And
John, you said?
Yeah, I have Michigan State too. I will say that UNC is favored by 1 in that first round matchup.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I went with these big. I went with Auburn. They get most. Yeah, even though they have been they've slowed down a little bit in the past couple weeks. I do believe they're the most established team, and I think that's at the end they maybe they'll run into a couple of issues here and there, but at the end of the day, I think they'll be the one to carry it out and make the Final Four. So that will lead us next to what's the next one called? It's the South. What is it? West? Oh, yes, the West. Okay, so so West is headlined by Florida and St. John's. Also, bigger well knowns in UConn and Oklahoma, Maryland, Temple, Kansas is always a big threat. They're like always like a bigger school that people like to lean into. Matt, any thoughts?
This is when St. John's got pulled here. I was kind of pissed because they get the 2 seed. Omaha isn't like a 15 seed to just like scoff at. They played a couple of teams pretty close. They got the trash can gimmick, which is never good when you're playing a team with a gimmick in March. I feel like they're always the ones to go on a Cinderella run. And let's say you beat Omaha, you take care of business. You either play Kansas or Arkansas. 2 great coaches. You either play Calipari or yourself, and then you got a great 3 seed. Timmy, is it crazy to say that Texas Tech? I know they're a little banged up, but are they the best 3 seed in the bracket? Do you think?
Let's see, 3 seed Iowa State. Yeah, just because of health. Wisconsin. I don't.
Maybe Wisconsin.
Believer. I'm not a believer. Yeah, they're the best 3 seed.
Who's the 3 seed in the Midwest? Yeah.
Kentucky. So
Kentucky. Yeah, I think Texas Tech is the best 3 seed. You got UMD to grab 5. I listened to 2 podcasts and they both said that they're built for March. So I mean I thought UMD was very good. Even the 12 seed, Colorado State's one of the hottest teams in college basketball. And then I didn't even talk about Florida, who's like are they the most picked team to win the title? I think it's Duke actually, but
it's Duke,
Florida,
Duke and Florida, yeah.
Florida just like breezed through the SEC tournament, and then their reward for doing that is you either play the national champion, the 2-time national champion, as the 8 seed. I mean, I don't think UConn's that good this year, but still, it's just such a deep conference or such a deep region.
Florida's also highlighting Rick Pitino, Iona transfer, Walter Clayton as their best player. So you got a little. If eventually we get to that, it's going to be Pitino against his former player,
Mac Legend.
Mac Legend, the Ryder Bronx. Yeah, so a lot of storylines. Kansas has AJ Storr, who was on St. John's 2 years ago. Zuby Ejiofor was a reserve on Kansas. He barely played, so if they run into each other, that's a storyline. Like you said, the Iona transfer is playing at Florida. He's killing it. UConn, Dan Hurley's an asshole. That's always a storyline. But yeah, I'm gonna let John and Timmy and Chris guess who I have winning this region. But someone else could.
All of you have winning this region.
I'm
going to take the first guess. It's obviously we know that you miss college so much, so we know that you're going with Maryland. Obviously, if you still your home state, so yeah, we know that's who you're going with.
The Terps.
It's sorry, I had to step away for a second, so I'm sorry if I repeat anything here, but I think I texted Matt on Sunday night when the Selection Sunday happened. They dropped it, and I said, not a bad region for St. John's. And then I looked more into it, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a terrible region for St. John's.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida alone. I mean, it's one of those things where like if St. John's makes the Elite Eight and pulls Florida, and they lose, it's like, is that really like a failure of a season or a failure of no, it's not, because like Florida's an excellent team.
They're a wagon.
So I think, not to be like I don't want to say like, oh, we only want this to happen, but if they make it through like the first 2 rounds, that's my thought process. They make it to the Sweet 16, and then, then it's like, arguable what happens. But like Omaha, as Matt, I heard you say, good 15 seed. If you can't beat Omaha, I think that if you lose to Omaha, that's a failure. I mean,
I agree.
Let's give credit where it's due to Omaha. They're a good 15 seed, but they're 15 seed, right? And I think, Kansas, Arkansas. I actually have Arkansas beating Kansas here. But again, either one, 2 very well coached teams, despite maybe they're underperforming this year. And then you run into Texas Tech or Drake / Missouri, whatever you want to say. Texas Tech is interesting because they're an unbelievably talented team. Their 2 stars are a little beat up. And that was like, I mean, I know they're supposed to play, but that was my hesitation to kind of pick Texas Tech versus a Drake or a Missouri. I think the Drake over Missouri is like one of the more popular upset picks here, but from what I've read, that Missouri is like I think everyone likes Drake, just because it's like the fun team to pick. I think Missouri is a pretty talented team too.
I do. I agree.
But again, this is probably I don't want to say the most talented region, but it's up there. It's a tough path. Obviously, you can see my hat. You know, if you've watched the podcast, you've seen who we love. I picked St. John's to win this region, but they got work to do. I mean, from the first round on, because that you make it past the first round, you take care of business, you beat the 15 seed. Then you have to beat an Arkansas or a Kansas, and that's no easy feat. And if you're meeting Texas Tech in the Sweet 16, that means they're healthy. And that's a very, very hard game to win because I think Timmy, you mentioned it, they're probably the most talented 3 seed.
Going down the line, I mean, you have Florida, who I think is the best team in the tournament. I think they're better than Auburn. I think they're better than Duke. I think they're better than Houston. They really don't have a lot of weaknesses, and they just won the SEC, so they're coming in good form. UConn, I feel like, is one of those teams. Everyone's going to say, like, yeah, Dan Hurley's a nut job, but I mean, they have won the championship 2 years in a row. But every time I watch them, I feel like it's like, oh yeah, they won the championship, all this, and then they lose, and then they're like, what the hell? And I feel like, I don't know. I have Oklahoma winning that game just because I like Jeremiah Fears, and I feel like the whole UConn narrative of being national champs has overseeded them, and also all year. I mean, they were AP, I don't even remember to start the year, but way too high. I mean, and then let's go to Memphis and Colorado State. I don't think anyone's talked about. I think it's an overseeded Memphis team in a pretty subpar conference versus, as Matt Driscoll said, the hottest team in college basketball. I think they've won almost 10 straight.
They're favored.
Colorado State opened up as a favorite, betting wise. Memphis is number 50 ranked in KenPom, and Colorado State is 44th ranked in KenPom. So Vegas is begging you to take Memphis. And I mean, Colorado State, according to analytics, is the better team. So I don't know. And then next you go to the Crab Five, as Matt said. I've had a lot of heartbreaking losses this year, which I think is a good thing because, I mean, they're still a 4 seed with a lot of buzzer beaters and stuff happening. They have Derek Queen, who's going to be an NBA talent. They just don't have a ton of depth. So
yeah, they don't.
But that's why they're the Crab Five. Once those 5 are playing, they can beat anyone. But if they get in foul trouble, there could be some issues. I know Grand Canyon is like a very popular upset, but in my opinion, I don't really see it happening. I know you talked about Drake and Missouri. I actually have Drake winning this game, and I pondered having them win another one, but I think Texas Tech is a little bit too good. I mean, they just win games. Like, I know they don't play the hardest schedule. I mean, that's why they're a mid-major. But they have 4 D2 starters that got brought up with the coach. They play the slowest pace in the country, like literally ranked last. And I mean, that can be a formula to beat some of these superior teams, is just slow the ball down and take time off the clock. And then this Missouri team, as you said, it's just, who's playing today? Is it going to be the team that put up 110 against Alabama, or are we going to see the team that recently lost to Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, I think even Texas? But you have to give them credit when it's due. I mean, they went 0-18 in the SEC last year. So to see them as a 6 seed is pretty cool. It's a pretty crazy turnaround. And then you got the best 3 seed, as we all think. Big 12 player of the year, number 7 in KenPom, 6th in offensive rating. They do lack a little bit of size, though, so a physical team like the Johnnies can be a problem. I mean, and then we're gonna talk about Kansas now. They're absolutely disappointment. They were supposed to be very good, but the analytics still loves them. 21st ranked in KenPom, very experienced. They're very old. A lot of tournament experience, led by Hunter Dickinson, legendary coach. They're just a cringy team to play against. I mean, KJ Adams is a senior. Dickinson's a senior. DeJuan Harris is a senior. Zeke Mayo is a senior. So you've got a lot of guys that just have played in a ton of college basketball games. And then you guys talked enough about the Johnnies, so I'll leave it off with Arkansas. I mean, Cal Party started 0-5 in conference, and they're very good defensively, and for them to be here after starting 0-5 in conference is pretty impressive. But all I'll say is during that 0-5, there's one piece to that 0-5 that is returning, and that is Boogie Fland. He's been hurt ever since they've been 0-5 in conference, and he's thinking about returning in the first round. So I don't know how that's going to work. That's kind of an unknown variable. I mean, the guy can score, but when he's out there, they just haven't won. So that's another we'll see. I mean, who knows what's going to come out.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting region here. I think there's a good chunk of upsets. I have Colorado State upsetting Memphis. I have Drake upsetting Missouri, and I don't. It's just a very talented region. And not to speak a little bit, not to kind of overpower with St. John's talk here, but I think they're going to have to reach almost a second level, especially if you get to the Sweet 16 against a Texas Tech. You can't rely solely on defense, and I think it's great that's like what you have to fall back on. And I think, like we've mentioned that ad nauseum, is that's like the most controllable thing you have when going into a tournament or just basketball in general. But you're going to have to get another level. Like we saw Zuby Ejiofor in the semifinal of the Big East tournament, get 32 and, double-digit rebounds. Like, I think he is, and me and Matt were talking about it earlier, I think Zuby is almost the X factor. And it's weird to say that as like a top, 2-3 player on the team. You need Zuby to unleash an offensive, or get to another level on an offensive standpoint. So, obviously, I have St. John's winning this region. Full bias, obviously, but it sucks too, because I think if St. John's wasn't in the tournament, I would love Florida. I think Florida's like a super fun team to watch. They just dominated the SEC, and you've heard for the entire year how awesome the SEC is, rightfully so. But yeah, I do have St. John's coming out of it just as a fan, and I think again, fully biased, but I think looking at it objectively, there is a path for them to kind of reach that.
All right,
Yeah.
so I'm going to be the opposite guy. So I have Kansas winning that first game, and then I have Kansas beating the Johnnies in the second round. I think it's just a terrible draw for them. I think Kansas has the names, they have the experience, they have the potential, and I think St. John's just got put up against the worst 7-10 possible. I mean, either one of those teams, I think, are the best 7 and the best 10. So I have Kansas actually making my Sweet 16 and taking the Johnnies out early on a poor shooting night. I have Drake also winning a game, Colorado State. But when it comes down to it, I got the Gators exiting this region.
Well, Tim, you make a good point. I mean, it's one of those things where even you can acknowledge it as a biased St. John's fan. What's their biggest crutch? It's their offense, right? And if they run into a very cold shooting night, or if they run into maybe a referee who doesn't let them play as physical as they've been allowed to play all year. And I guess another gripe against St. John's is like they dominated the Big East this year, right? But how strong was the Big East? It wasn't an SEC or a Big 12 in that case, So it's one of those things. It's March, right? Like they could lose to Omaha. But I think if they pull Kansas in the round of 32,
that's a game you cringe at.
Yeah, no, it is. It's. I think it will be on Saturday, and I have to wake up early and study for the Series 7 that morning, and I'm going to be thinking about that all day. Because, and you know what? It's one of those things. I hope I have to think about it all day, because that means they won on Thursday. So, it's.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, it would be great if they make the Sweet 16 and then they lose to a Texas Tech. It would suck, but I would be like, okay, it was a good year. Let's run it back again next year. But to lose in the round of 32, it would leave kind of a sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah. Just to address the comment, Can I, can I turn on my camera? I actually just got a nosebleed, but I'm still podcasting through it. That's how much this podcast means to me.
Is it red? Is it St. John's red?
That's got to be a good sign. Unless it's Omaha red, then it won't be a good sign. But
I hope it was red. Holy crap, that'd be really weird for something else.
all right, so St. John's bad shooting night, totally understandable. However, they've been shooting a little better since the Big East tournament. Small sample size. They're shooting 45% from the field. Sorry, 47% from the field and 37 from three. And also, you know, poor sample size, but they also have the best offensive rebounder in the nation in Zuby Ejiofor. He averages 4.3 offensive boards a game. That's insane. And if you think Zuby Ejiofor is losing the Zuby Ejiofor revenge game versus Kansas, you are sadly mistaken, Timmy. But I mean, this is just an unbelievably tough division. Florida is literally good at everything. I was looking at all the stats. They're good at every single aspect of the game. It's unbelievable. And we were talking about Drake, Missouri. Like, that's a tough matchup for both teams. And when you're saying it's a tough matchup for Missouri, I wrote down who they beat this year. They beat Kansas. They beat Florida. They beat Bama, like you said, Timmy. They put up 102 points. But maybe Drake is like a horrible matchup for them because they I think my nosebleed stopped. There we go. Because they play at the slowest pace. Like, it's literally the slowest pace in the nation. The trapezoid of excellence graph, they're always just on the top left side. Always. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I do have St. John's beating Florida in the Elite Eight to advance to the Final Four. I have them beating Texas Tech to get there, and I have Florida beating Maryland to get there.
Didn't realize that invited. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, finish your point. Yeah.
I was going to say the upset I have technically is Colorado State over Memphis, even though Vegas doesn't think that would be an upset. But yeah, that's it. I have Missouri beating Drake, and then Maryland Grand Canyon's also a potential upset. I have Maryland just because their starting five's so good. However, Grand Canyon gets to the line a lot. I was listening to a podcast. They said that today. And like you said, Timmy, one of the big guys gets into foul trouble. It's a completely different game.
Yeah, you brought up the bottom left portion of the graph, and I realized that I invited JJ Redick on this podcast. So, but
the top left quadrant, Chris.
Yeah.
Of the trapezoid of excellence.
Yeah. So before we move to the next portion, St. John's is my pick to come out of the West. And end of the day, if this was the NBA, I would be more concerned with St. John's lack of 3-point shooting, but they do have a true identity and just getting stops and grabbing all the extra points. I believe in them, but while I do understand the skepticism of them, I believe in them for sure. Let's hop over to the Midwest now. So that's headlined by Houston and by Tennessee. Also has other well-known teams in. We're not Tennessee. That's
Yeah.
West. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong one. So Tennessee. Kentucky, obviously, always a big one as well. Even Clemson. I know that Matt and Timmy's friends got a bunch of guys that got friends that went to Clemson, so that's huge there. And before we move on, I do like to read Shams' tweets whenever he tweets something during games, during the pod. Denver Stars Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray will not play tonight against the Lakers, which isn't that big of a deal because LeBron isn't playing. I still don't think LeBron's playing, but
Jokic couldn't have sat out last week when I was playing him in fantasy basketball. It's ridiculous. He played it back-to-back against the Wizards. Sit out, relax.
It's a damn shame. Timmy, your thoughts on the West? Or not the West, Jesus Christ, the Midwest, or whatever it's just called, the Midwest.
So we get Houston. I think it's their third consecutive 1 seed. I could be wrong, but I feel like they've been a 1 seed forever. I mean, but it's granted. I think they swept the Big 12 regular season and playoff. They have LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, and Juwan Roberts has been dinged up, but apparently he's fine. But I mean, who's not going to say they're fine going into the tournament? Because then you're just going to put a target on your back. It's just all about defense for them, which is they're very similar to the Johnnies, but I would just say they're a little bit more efficient offensively, but less physical. Create a lot more steals. And then you go down and you go to the Zags. It's the battle of the Bulldogs. You got the Zags and you got Georgia. I think Gonzaga is grossly underseeded. I think it's just due to their schedule. I mean, they've always the knock on them whenever they're a 1 through 3 seed is, oh, well, they play in the West Coast Conference. Who the hell do they play? I mean, but if you look where they're ranked at KenPom, they are the number 9 team in the country. So that is a gross underseeding. I mean, almost worse than Louisville analytically it is. They have the best passer in the tournament in Ryan Nemhard. Khalif Battle puts the ball in the basket no matter where he is. I think this is his third school. Graham EK is beast inside and out. I don't know. That's a gross 8 seed too. I mean, that's for Houston. That's a really crappy draw. I mean, they beat Baylor by like 40 earlier in the year. I mean, it was early in the year, but still. Georgia, they're very tall, but they're kind of like Michigan. They just turn the ball over like crazy, except they have Asa Newell, who kind of like Danny Wolf is supposed to be a lottery pick, but we'll see. And then we go down to, what do we have? Clemson, right? So I think this is their best year, and I could be wrong, but I think it's their best year ever as a program, most wins. So congrats to that. But I'm just going to say it now. Sorry, Guzzo, but McNeese State is going to win this game. They lost to Bama at Bama by 8. Lost to Mississippi at Mississippi State by 3. So they've proven they can hang with whoever, wherever. The only thing that's weird, and they obviously have this guy going viral, their manager with the NIL deals, which is pretty cool. Their coach just left today. He just signed with NC State, but he's still obviously coaching. So what does that do to them? I don't know. Or guys like, what the hell? Or guys like, all right, let's do this, and then we'll go to NC State with you. I think they're an older team, so that's interesting. And then as you go down, you have the Purdue's and Illinois of the world, who were in a pretty solid Big Ten. I mean, the SEC was just obviously, as John said earlier, like they were the best conference. There's a reason they have a record number of teams in the tournament. But then you come to this solid Big Ten, these 2 Big Ten teams. I mean, they're another one. What are we going to get today? I mean, you can even include Kentucky in this. Like, all 3 of those teams could make the Elite 8 or Final 4, and it wouldn't be that crazy to me. I mean, I don't think any of them will, but I wouldn't say it would surprise me. But like with Illinois, they're young. They shoot like half their shots from 3, except they stink at shooting threes.
Yeah.
So if they get hot from 3, I mean, I wouldn't want to play them. Kentucky, I mean, I think is very similar to the team last year where they just stink at defense. Like, can they get a stop is it's going to come down to. And then I think this 7-10 game, it's just UCLA has beat some good teams, have lost some bad teams. And then Tennessee is just, I mean, great defensive team. They got 9th-year senior Sakai Ziegler. I feel like he's been there since I've been in 8th grade. And then they have Chaz Lanier, who is just the Dalton Connect for this year. He's this transfer that they get, and he fills in the shoes and does everything.
Yeah. Houston and Tennessee are 2 of the top defensive teams in the nation. Happy you mentioned Tennessee's defense, Timmy. That's a tough 1-2 seed. I laughed at what you said about Illinois. Like, who are you going to get today? My notes for Illinois is, are they good? ? Like, I literally have no idea. I have, you kind of touched on a lot of points. McNeese, I was debating on who to pick, but the coach signing with NC State cannot be good for vibes in the locker room. I know they got the manager with the NIL deal as all-time vibes guy in the locker room, but your coach leaving cannot be good. So I have Clemson beating them. Clemson had a couple of good wins this year. I mean, they were at home. They beat Duke, I think. Didn't they beat Kentucky, too, the same week? They beat Kentucky at the beginning of the year? Maybe.
Yeah, they beat Kentucky.
Yeah. My big upset in this, kind of have 2 in this region. I have High Point beating Purdue. High Point's the hottest team in the nation.
Yep.
I think they won 14 straight.
14 straight. They have they're great shooting, and they have a big man who's one of the best probably the second best offensive rebound guy after Zubac, of course.
Yeah, well, the stats back it up about Zubic being the best offensive rebounder in the nation. But my big takeaway is I have Xavier beating Texas tonight, and if Texas wins tonight, scrap everything that I say here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think.
So I think I'm just huge Big East bias because that's the most basketball I watched this year. I got Ryan
Xavier's
McManus. I got Ryan McManus talking in my ear about how Big East horrible this year. We play basketball in the Northeast over here. I hate to break it to you, Ryan. I have Xavier beating Texas tonight. I have them beating Illinois in the first round, and I have them beating Kentucky to go to the Sweet 16. I then have Tennessee beating them. But, I mean, they have that kid from Jersey, Xavier, Fremantle. He went to Bergen Catholic. He was a stud against St. John's. They took him to overtime. He fouled out. I mean, he kind of got shut down a little in the second half, but they were throwing two bodies at him. They also have the guard Ryan Conwell. He's really good. He does kind of everything for them. I mean, he scores at a high rate. He's averaging 17. Fremantle's averaging 17 as well. They got one guy averaging 4 assists, McKnight, who was cooking the Johnnies when they played him. Or Swain was cooking the Johnnies too. They shoot 38% from 3 as a team. I think Xavier could be pretty dangerous in the tournament. They got a big guy. They can shoot a little bit. Maybe my Big East bias is showing, but I really like them.
There's a couple things you said there. First of all, whenever I hear McNeese, never ever do I give my opinion on politics on the show. But however, my favorite meme ever is like a picture of Trump giving his meme about when he came out with his college bracket saying like, "Hey guys, they're saying I don't have enough upsets. We want to pick McNeese. We didn't pick McNeese." So there's that. There was something else you said about another team. I forgot. Oh, the play-ins. I know I'm not as into college basketball as you guys, but it drives me up a wall how all the why aren't all the play-ins the 16 seeds? Why are there a bunch of 11 seeds play-ins? It makes no sense to me. I understand the premise of it and everything, but I just think I'm an alien. Maybe it's because I'm too much of a nerd. I feel like the point of a playing game is that the worst teams get in, but.
I disagree with that, Chris. I think
why is that? Yeah, go ahead.
I think that, let's say they rep in Loyola, who appeared on the Trapezoid of Excellence tweet today. No big deal. The Patriot League is one of the worst conferences in all of D1. They might be the worst. I'm not gonna lie. They're a horrible basketball to watch.
I think they were the worst this year.
They were disgusting. American won the conference. They stink, but they won the conference. They shouldn't have to play anybody to be in the top 64 to play in technically the big tournament.
Then they should be a higher seed then.
No, they're going to be the 16.
Why?
Well, to back up AAH here, what about UNC, who didn't deserve to be in the tournament, but now they're an 11 seed against a favorable matchup in Ole Miss?
I think that's fair because they played in.
Yeah, the typical reasoning, I think, is they take the last 4 in at large. So who is it this year? Texas, Xavier, UNC, and San Diego State.
Yeah.
And then they take the worst 4 16 seeds. So it's Alabama State, St. Francis. Is American playing a playing game? I don't even know.
It's American versus Mount St. Mary.
Yeah, so I think that's their reasoning to
better watch out. Patriot League's coming.
And Matt, you did bring up the Trapezoid of Excellence. Timmy, thank you for validating my pick for the Final Four. I have Gonzaga making the Final Four. You know why? Because I'm a traditional guy. Obviously I've let you guys do most of the talking, but however, I love elite coaching. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Rick Pitino. I'm a huge fan of Mark Few, the guy who. Yeah, he's such a great coach that he actually coaches in the Olympics, and Gonzaga has both the talents and they have the personnel as well with coaching and staff. I 100% believe in them. I believe that yes, they were screwed over out of being the 8th seed, and they should be much higher. And I think they will actually have them beating Kentucky in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, Gonzaga has that big win over Baylor in November. That was
I totally know what you're talking about.
I think the 8-9 matchup is really tough because obviously Georgia played, their record isn't great. They played in a tough SEC, but Georgia was one of the few teams, one of the 4 teams to beat St. John's. I mean, it was early in the year, but that's a credible win. But like you said, Timmy,
And Florida,
Gonzaga
too.
very. Did
They
Georgia
beat
beat Florida?
They beat Florida recently.
Yeah, they did. I think, let's see. Yeah, 88, 83.
But like to Chris's credit, like who cares? Like throw that all out the window. Like, like Gonzaga could come out and shoot like 65% from three, and
10 straight
the way it goes.
Sweet 16s for Gonzaga.
Or few.
Yeah, death taxes Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. And death taxes AH putting Gonzaga in his Elite Eight or Final Four.
All right.
No, but I don't think I mentioned it before, but Matt, I think you said High Point over Purdue.
Yeah.
That's my
I like that.
Actually, that's my one big upset. I actually have Utah State beating UCLA too. UCLA looked pathetic in their tournament. But other than that, I'll actually side with Matt on the Texas Xavier thing. My bracket is pending, depending on how Xavier does tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are gonna. I guess I'm taking a page out of Chris's book, but I have Gonzaga in my Elite Eight as well. I think they beat Houston. I just think this is a good spot for them. I have Purdue in my Sweet 16, so I have a Gonzaga-Purdue matchup. But yeah, I mean, I just think that they're number 9 in KenPom for a reason. I mean, if you're looking probably for the most bang for your buck analytically, which I'm sure AAH is, this is where it is. I mean, sure, they don't have the marquee wins. Sure, they don't play the toughest schedule. But, I mean, great coaching. They're old. And I don't know. I just feel like this is a good spot to take I usually like to try and take a 1 going down semi-early, and I think this is the spot I'm going to go with it. And then I'm going to go with the Illinois is good train. I mean, it's going to burn me. It's probably going to be wrong. But I think I think Illinois-Kentucky is a coin flip if they play each other. I mean, they're both are they good school.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I have Tennessee coming out of this region. So I have Tennessee against the Zags in my Elite Eight. So that's my crazy, I would say, crazy region is just the Zags making a run.
Yeah. Timmy, why do you have McNeese over Clemson? I know it's a trendy pick, and I just want to hear a college basketball savant's mind on it.
I don't know. I just think, if I remember, I think they just forced turnovers. I'm pretty sure, if I could be wrong, but were they in the tournament last year?
Yeah. So
I think they were very
year,
trendy last year.
Here's the thing: last year they played Gonzaga in the first round. They were the trendy pick. They won 30 games. But I was talking to my coworker today. They opened at 16.5 underdogs last year against Gonzaga. So there was just no world where they should have been talked about that much. I mean, they won 30 games. I think this year it's 3.5 for Clemson.
I think it's
Is it
seven.
Really?
Or 8.
Let
Yeah.
me check. On ESPN. Let's see. Yeah, but it's 7.5 right now. I mean, that's half of what it was. I mean, more than half of what it was last year. So, I mean, I think their coach leaving could be bad though.
Yeah, that's one that I would say not final for me. I definitely like Purdue going to the Sweet 16. They've been terrible recently. I think they've lost 6 of their last 9 or something. So they've stunk, but I like the glimmers of greatness have been there all throughout the year. And I'm a Braden Smith believer. I think he's very good.
He was first team All-American, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying much for calling myself a believer, but I think he's like Cam Jones, where no one really talks about him, like Cooper Flagg or some of these other massive names.
Yeah, RJ Lewis was robbed for a first team All-American, but it was good for him that he made it though.
All right.
Sorry, Chris.
Okay. Oh no, I was going to see it. Yes. So Timmy and I gave our picks. So yeah, John, I zoned out there for a second. Yeah, John, Matt, did you give yours or no?
No, I'm glad you
go
said
ahead.
because I was ready to give mine. This is quite contrary to Timmy's. I actually do have Houston making a run here. I think as I mentioned before, I think I had Iowa State last year making a run because of how good they were defensively. And that's kind of why I'm sticking with Houston. They're so good defensively. I know it's been like you said, Timmy, like 2-3 years of them being the 1 seed and me just banking on them being a great defensive team. I think they lost in the Sweet 16 or I think Sweet 16 last year to Duke. But I really do enjoy watching them on the defensive side of the ball. I think if they can get past that Georgia Gonzaga 8-9, because I do think that's probably the most talented 8-9 in the bracket. I know we talked about UConn, Oklahoma. I think UConn, Oklahoma is more of a talented 8-9 looking at it from like a pass standpoint. But Gonzaga, Georgia is a very talented 8-9. If they can get over that hump and then maybe see a combination of either Purdue, Clemson, or High Point, whether however we want to talk to it, I think they have an opportunity to get to that Elite Eight against Tennessee. But because I think the bottom half of the bracket is a lot less talented than the top half. But I have Houston, and to kind of summarize, it's a lot of it has to do with their defense.
Yeah, I also have Houston. People always talk about like how top heavy this year is and how like the 4-1 seeds are unbelievable. So I feel like I have to have 1 seed in my Final Four. I have Houston, Tennessee, very fun again having another 1-2 in my Elite Eight. But I have Houston beating Clemson to get there. I think I have Clemson getting to the Sweet 16 just because I think they're going to beat McNeese, and then I have High Point beating Purdue. So I think they take care of business then. And then I have Tennessee beating Xavier. That's an elite matchup in the Elite Eight, Houston, Tennessee, if that happens. I think this is the year Houston gets over the hump. They make the Final Four. Their defense is elite, and their offense is the best it's been in a couple of years. So
Perfect. Okay. We are about to go over, which is completely fine. We don't go to anyone on after us, but just for our sake, feel free to talk about whoever you want in the East, all you want. But just be mindful for a second there. But yeah, the East bracket we got. Excuse me. Yeah, we got headlined by Duke and Bama. A lot of other well-known teams there, including BYU and Arizona. John, do you have any takeaways from this bracket?
I think I have to do a deep dive on this bracket. I think that Duke is the most talented in this region, if not in the entire bracket. We can argue Florida and Auburn and St. John's, of course. But not to dive too deep into who I have winning here, I have a couple upsets. I went back and forth on Oregon and Liberty. I did end up picking Oregon. I picked VCU actually over BYU here. I don't know what you guys think. I think that was interesting. And my other upset of this section is Vanderbilt over St. Mary's. But I'll come back and after everyone else kind of gives their second round opinions, because this is probably the region that I feel the least comfortable in.
Yeah, I mean, you have Duke. I mean, number one Ken Pom team, best player.
Yeah.
And they took care of business in the ACC. I mean, it wasn't pretty, but
without him too.
Yeah, without him. So they took care of business in the ACC without him. And then I think you go down Baylor. You have VJ Edgecombe, and he's going to be an NBA lottery pick. And then you go down to this team I don't even think anyone's mentioned yet in Oregon. I mean, Albany's 8-0 in the round of 64 while with the Ducks. I mean, my notes literally say under the radar before anyone talked about anything today. So I think it's on brand for that. And they did beat A&M and Bama. I mean, it's earlier in the year, it's non-con, but they still have some wins. My favorite part, I would say, about this little region is it's the Cornell alum region. You have Isaiah Gray with Akron, who hasn't lost a game this year in 2025. And then you got Chris Mannion on Vandy, who is a starter on a program that's kind of turned it around. I mean, they've kind of been irrelevant ever since Darius Garland left, and he didn't even play. So, but I mean, you have a lot of teams. I think the games that I look at most in this region are Arizona, Akron, and BYU VCU.
I was going to ask you about those. Yeah.
BYU VCU, I have stared at this game. I have changed my pick 500 times. I think this is the toughest game to pick in the entire first round because BYU is very hot. I mean, they are just really scrappy. They really light it up from downtown, and they can beat anyone. But, I mean, they've beaten Iowa State twice in the past 2 weeks, and I think that's with everyone healthy. They beat Arizona recently, so I think they're just coming in scorching hot. But then you play this VCU team who is very good defensively. They're very big. They have 4 seniors in their starting 5. The only thing they do is lack a schedule, which is, I mean, they're a non-Power 4, Power 5 team. So I have whoever wins this game, I think beats Wisconsin. I don't really care who you have. Wisconsin's a little fraudulent to me. I don't love them coming out. I mean, even if they win that game, they got to play Bama. I don't think they're doing anything. But my upset for this is I got the Zips. I like Akron a lot. I have 2 brackets, and in my second one I have them in my Sweet 16. So that's my little bit of my hot take for the whole tournament is the Zips going far. But they haven't lost this year. They're deep. I think they play 9 guys. The only thing that they lack is size. I think they're the shortest and smallest team in the tournament, but they play their certain brand of basketball. I mean, they're super fast paced. They chuck threes, top 50 in 2-point and 3-point percentage. So, I mean, they were 20-1 in their conference. That means you're pretty good at what you do. And I think they are just coming in confident, and it's a total screw it. I mean, I don't think they ever have had a program win in the tournament. So it's a free roll. I think they're rolling the dice. You can fact check me on that because I could be wrong. But I don't know. I like this team, and shout out Isaiah Gray. We're going to go get a dub. We're going to beat Zona.
Yeah, Timmy, I also have the Zips beating Arizona. One, because, like you mentioned, maybe the hottest team coming into the tournament, haven't lost in 2025. And also because you're buddies with Isaiah Gray. Those are the 2 reasons why I have Akron over Arizona. What do you guys think of Mississippi State Baylor? I have Mississippi State strictly because they play in the SEC, but I really have no idea. And I also have VCU over BYU because of the 4 seniors in their starting 5. Timmy,
I'm actually really happy you guys brought up Akron v. Arizona because I went back and forth initially, but I picked Akron because, and this is a very poor reason why I picked them, but Arizona is essentially, in one way, led by Caleb Love. Caleb Love is the most volatile, the most up and down guy. If Caleb Love has 3 or 4 games of just lighting it up, we could see Arizona in the Elite 8, you know? But, like, how are you going to bet on that? If Caleb Love has, like, a crap shooting game, like, that's that. Like, I get it. Arizona.
Yeah, he shoots 38% from the field.
Yeah.
And he's a chucker. So if it's going bad, it's still going up.
Yeah. And he was really cool and fun to root for 2 years ago when he played for UNC, and then he blew that up. You know, we won't go deep diving into that. But no, I think, like you mentioned, and I ended up picking Akron because of Akron, not because of the limitations that Arizona has. And I think that's kind of important, I guess, when, again, I'm very much more wrong than right when it comes to picking these stuff. But I like to, if I'm going to pick an upset, it's because of the pros of the winning team versus the cons of the losing team.
Yeah. And just going back, I mean, I can't stop thinking about this BYU VCU game. Before this started, I was like, all right, whoever they play, Sweet 16. And of course they play each other. And of course they're opposite. So either way, it's just like, I don't know. But I do agree with both of you on the Zips. I don't know. I think Arizona's a known dropper recently. And I think you never. This is a team where I'm comfortable rolling the dice and saying, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I think Oregon beats whoever plays this team.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not? Give it a shot.
All right, so go ahead, Matt.
Sorry. The national champion, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 1999, has been on the east half of Texas, just like the east side of America. And I feel like I always have Arizona going far. And I feel like they always drop. So I'm picking the Zips.
Awesome. So I personally went with the easy pick. I went with Duke to make the Final Four. Obviously, we'll see. Yeah, I looked up before the show. Like I literally haven't seen any good or bad news regarding Cooper Flag. So I'm assuming that he's good to go. But it was over a sprained ankle. But obviously, those can come and go. But yeah, I do have Duke. Yeah, Duke winning over. Looking at it right now. Can't find her right now. Yeah, I got Duke winning.
I have
go ahead,
Duke.
Timmy. I have Duke too, but I do have them playing BYU. I have BYU going on an Elite Eight run.
Ooh.
I don't know. I think it's favorable for whoever wins that BYU VCU game. I think the cringiest game before Bama for them. Like I'm not afraid of Wisconsin, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a salty Michigan fan, Big Ten guy. I don't know. I think whoever wins that game is in the Sweet 16. And then they light it up from three. And what does Bama struggle with? Defense. And I think if they get hot, that's a spot where I'm not afraid to take a flyer. But I do agree. I think Duke is just too good. They have no holes. They have the best player. It's pretty boring, but they also have experience. I mean, they're young. They have Nipple. They have experience, though. I mean, Tyrese Proctor, is he junior or senior now? You have the kid from Purdue transferring and off the bench, Gillis. So I just don't. They have the 7-footer who's a beast defensively. I don't
Stud,
see
yeah.
it.
So I hate to do this. I have Wisconsin in my Final Four after Timmy just trashed them. Part of the reason is why everyone's going to have Duke in their Final Four. So if they lose in the round of 32, Sweet 16, Elite Eight, that props up my bracket a lot more. Since 2002, every champion has been in the top 25 defense and top 40 offense, according to KenPom. Duke it applies to Duke this year. It also applies to Wisconsin. I mean, Timmy, you clearly have watched more than them, obviously being a Big Ten guy, but I don't know. I feel like they're not like every other Wisconsin team, and I feel like everyone's saying they're not like every Wisconsin team. They can actually score the ball a little bit. So I'm riding with the Batters. I could be very wrong.
I mean, John Tungy's great. I think their toughest game, I would be more afraid of who they play in that second round than the Sweet 16. I think that's a gauntlet.
Is it crazy to say that I am not that I'm not impressed, but I just do not see Alabama coming out of this region. See a lot of people picking them for their national champion. You gotta get your ass down in the seat. You gotta get your ass down and defend. And I feel like that's always their problem.
Yeah, I think they're one of those teams that's always primed for a run, but not necessarily winning the whole thing.
BYU is a really interesting team because they have some impressive wins this year. They beat Iowa State twice. They beat Kansas and Arizona.
Damn, did they really?
Yeah, no, but they got smoked by Houston.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a live or die by the three. So, like, if they win, they win. If not, they get smoked.
Right, which is
sounds like my intramural team.
But yeah, this is. I feel like I've said it in every region. This is a fun region, and I think we just need to realize the fact that March Madness rocks. It's the best.
Sure does.
How the hell did we not take off work, guys? What are we doing?
I couldn't.
What are we doing?
I couldn't.
This is me and Timmy's first year working. We have an excuse. John and Chris, what the hell? I mean,
it is my first year. It's my first year at a new school.
Yeah, but you've been
too. You are more tenured than us, actually.
You are literally more tenured at these jobs than any of us on this podcast.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
yeah. So I'm not tenure at my job. Yeah, so I could be the cool teacher on Friday and put on the game, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. We'll see. But before we move on to the segment in which I have far more knowledge on, let's go over our we have our final 4 picks. Let's do speed rounds. Who we have winning in each game and who we have winning the championships. So, Timmy, guest of the show, you want to go first?
Yeah, so my final 4 is Michigan State, Florida. I got Michigan State beating Florida, and then I have Duke, Tennessee. I have Duke, and then I have Duke winning it all. I just think if Cooper Flag is healthy, I don't see them losing. The only way they lose, in my opinion, is if someone gets hurt or something. Someone has to just go off. It's going to be on a March Madness edit that's on my TikTok for the next year if they lose, in my opinion. I mean, it's super chalky, but I'm going to go Duke.
I feel like a ton of guys are talking about how chalky it is this year. I don't know if that's like the talk every year. I feel like it's not, but I mean, a lot of people are just saying how top heavy the league is this year.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at my lead, 1-2, 1-3, 1-6, 8-2, like not crazy chalk, but
yeah,
I think it's a good balance. But a lot of 1s and a lot of 2s.
Yeah, same with me.
Yeah.
Very bold.
All right, Matt.
My final 4?
Yeah.
I have Michigan State, St. John's, Wisconsin, and Houston. Michigan State, St. John's, 2 legendary coaches battling it out. Shockingly, I'm going to take the St. John's Red Storm. I feel like Michigan State and St. John's are pretty similar in a way. They both can't really shoot the ball, but they don't really shoot the 3 a lot. Elite defense, and defense travels, Timmy. Defense travels. I got St. John's in the final. And then I have Houston beating Wisconsin in the other side of the bracket. I feel like I fall for the Houston trap, per se, every single year. H-Town, baby. I don't know. Their offense is just better than it has been. And I think Sampson's a great coach. I think this is his 20th tournament that he's made. And I'm trusting coaching a lot this year. I have St. John's Houston in my final. And I'm going to take the Johnnies. I got the Johnnies winning it all. They beat Houston. And I think with those defenses, the final score is going to be 19-17. St. John's wins.
All right. Did you change your East bracket or your East region from last night?
From last night, yeah, I changed it at work today.
All right. Well, let me just.
Who did I have instead of Houston?
No. In Michigan State,
Wisconsin, you mean, right?
No. I mean, in the South section, you had Auburn.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I'm trusting Tom Izzo.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So I'm not going to say anything because that's my final 4.
We're about to be right? Like,
no,
Okay.
I think it's very likely that we're very wrong.
Okay, and mine, it's not boring at all, actually, but it's pretty boring for us, I should say. I do have St. John's beating Auburn. That would be a really fun game to watch. And I also have Duke defeating Gonzaga as well. Although Gonzaga versus St. John's would be awesome as well. Two of the best coaches of all time going at it, and then I do have St. John's defeating Duke in the national title game.
yes.
So that would be amazing. So, picks are in.
Can I ask one question for each of you?
Yes, sir.
Who would it be? You can't pick St. John's, and your bracket doesn't matter. Who are you picking, each of you? Just let's get another opinion.
Florida.
Yeah, I would pick Florida.
But Duke is probably the closest second ever.
The
But
way
behind
Florida,
the Johnnies, obviously.
the way Florida handled the SEC tournament scares the crap out of me.
Mm.
What was the final of the Tennessee Florida? They kind of handled them, right?
Let's see. 86, they won by 9.
Oh, I guess. I mean, I feel like it felt like larger, but I mean, they're so good at everything. I hate how the St. John's is in their region. I hate it.
Yeah, it's the worst. Okay. Didn't really talk a lot for the first hour and 15. You don't really see me do that too often on the show. However, I will be running this segment because of the question.
I thought there was a second segment.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. If any of you guys need to hop off, because you're busy, that's completely fine. But okay. So, the question that comes up every year, and I feel like it was escalated a little more this year because the Pardon My Take guys asked Alex Caruso. So we're gonna make this a two-part question, and kind of a two-part question. So, the question is one: who are the sorry. Number one, how many players could you add on to 16 seeds? So we're going to use Norfolk State as the team that we got. How many players in the league, if you add on to Norfolk State's, would become could win the title? And out of those guys, who's the worst player out of those guys is the question. So, So I wrote down a list of guys that I think are locks. That if you add them on to this net, if you add them on to Norfolk State, they could become. They would either be favorites or like a top 2-3 seed in the brackets. Do you want me to rifle them off because really quick, and then if you guys want to add on names, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So okay. So I got Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, Tyrese Halliburton, Giannis, Dame, Cade, Trae Young, Paulo, Franz, Bam, Tyrese Maxey, Shea, J-Dub, Chet, Jokic, Murray, Jaren Jackson Jr., John Moran, Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Sabonis Sabonis, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Victor Wembanyama, Zion Williamson, Joel Embiid. That's 40 guys right there. Keep 40? In mind, so keep in mind, Norfolk State has a very fast offense, and I believe they were like 217th in defense, by the way. So just keep that in mind.
So this is if they can win a national championship?
Yes.
I think you only mentioned smaller than the public perceives it to be.
You think it's smaller?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. A guy in my my group chat, shout out Jack Swosey, who consistently has the worst takes I've ever heard. It's truly remarkable every week. He said that if you add Nikola Jokic to Norfolk State, that they would not win.
Wrong.
That's
so wrong. So wrong.
There's a couple guys on the list I would argue against, especially smaller guards.
My first thought was Trae Young.
Trae Young was mine too. It's like, what if I stuck Cooper Flag on Trae Young and said, okay, Norfolk State, beat us 4-on-4.
Yeah, beat Duke.
I don't think Cooper Flag can shut down Trae Young though.
I think he can contain him enough where the other four guys on Duke can beat the crap out of them.
I really don't think so.
Nothing but guard Trae Young.
That's all he's doing. Don't you let the other four on Duke just play 4-on-4 and say,
okay. So
if he goes to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom.
That's
valid for sure. So
you have to have a little bit of like two-way playing in your arsenal. Like you have to be like not a cone on defense.
What do you guys think of De'Aaron Fox? Chris, you mentioned Wemby. You didn't mention Fox.
I didn't know that Fox. Okay. He would 100% become a. Yeah.
I think
so too.
I think he could lead Norfolk.
100%. Yeah. So
he's
that's
athletic and he could he's not a slouch defensively.
Yeah, he's not Trae Young. He's not a good defender, but he's not Trae Young.
Right.
I think Fox is a good defender.
You think so? Am I just? Maybe he's just,
he wasn't as good this year, but I feel like that might be just because of the scheme in general. But I think he's gonna have Wemby next to him next year, and then So I think that'll be better. What about? Is
that Rudy Gobert you pointing at?
It is Rudy Gobert.
No.
Hear me out. College basketball players are fuck you. So college basketball is not as reliant on the 3-point line. They're more reliant on taking efficient shots down in the paint. Rudy Gobert stops all shots inside the paint. Teams are going to be more reliant to take the 3 ball, which dies out late in the playoff rounds. Is Rudy Gobert a better offensive player than Zach Edey currently? Maybe. I'm saying
he's not on Norfolk State.
Fair enough. Okay, but okay, that's fair. So maybe not. Like I think it could happen. Maybe not. Like I think he definitely would be the best player in the nation right now, and I think that they could have a shot
I think you're underestimating how bad Rudy Gobert is offensively.
against college players. He would not be.
You think Rudy Gobert would be the best player nationally if he was in college? Probably, right?
Yes,
Am I an idiot?
unless I'm underestimating Cooper Flag.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a super hypothetical
The thing
question.
is, Rudy Gobert is
Teams
so
on.
hard to like. Rudy Gobert is so hard to judge just because he's so limited.
And he's so big though. Like, is there who
Like,
could
yeah, I get
guard
it.
him?
He's like a generational rim protector, but like he's very, very limited. Like offensively, like limited is like a nice thing to say. Defensively, he's limited. Am I wrong?
Defensively, he wouldn't be defensively limited in college.
I
Okay.
think that's fair.
Yeah.
Chris,
So-
I'm going to say yes. I think Rudy Gobert.
Yeah,
Think
I'm
about
gonna,
it.
I'm gonna say he's 7'2". He's a house.
He's 7'2". He's efficient in today's NBA. He's efficient in today's NBA. He's going up against a bunch of guys shorter than him,
Takes
and
one jump shot a year. Of course.
Yeah,
he's
here's the thing.
he averages
Here's the
like 12 a
thing.
game. Yeah.
Every time you say a guy, I just think Duke. So Duke has a 7'2" guy.
Yeah.
He's not
Here's
good
the
as Rudy
thing.
Gobert.
Here's the thing with Rudy Gobert, offensively limited. He is playing NBA guys, but it's way more spacing. Julius Randle's getting thrown doubles at him. Anthony Edwards is getting thrown doubles at him. Even like Naz Reid is not getting thrown doubles at him, but he's getting more attention than Rudy Gobert on the
he's going to
offensive
be
side.
getting the double.
He's gonna get like quadruple teamed.
And then his teammates are going to be wide open.
But
Yeah, and they are gonna
Norfolk
shoot
State,
33% from three on
if
8
they're
attempts.
lucky.
They take 8 threes a game.
Norfolk State only 63 a game.
8 threes a game. They shoot 33%.
Oh damn it! Like, how's their offense so good then?
Their offense isn't that good. I
It isn't.
think it's fine.
Okay.
I do love the argument though, because like it really makes you think. Because you have to think super hypothetically, because it's like, how would they play defense on him versus how he is played defense against now? And then, I mean, it's just so many factors.
Okay. Okay. So we're kind of like walking in okay, we focus a lot on Rudy Gobert, but like I do want to revisit Timmy's point about like the small guards. So, is Darius Garland included in that, or like is he like a lock? Like, oh, he can do it for sure. He can do it for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
good. When
I don't know.
we can
flag on him, and you said play 4-on-4.
Yeah.
we can revisit Darius Garland versus Trae Young another day, but that's okay.
I like Darius Garland over Trae Young. I cringed at.
Yeah, agreed.
Really?
I don't know, and it's one of
Trae
those
Young
things-
was amazing in college.
but that's not what we're talking about.
He was amazing in college. Now he's better now.
Yeah, but did they?
I think Trae Young could do it.
Yeah, but Trae Young wasn't on Norfolk State. This is
He was on
No,
Oklahoma.
but like he has the ability to raise like floor like ceiling raise like guys that aren't as good.
how far did they go in the tournament?
I have
They
no
beat
idea.
URI. That was the first game of the year, our junior year, Timmy.
Yeah, they lost or won,
I think they beat URI because I had URI.
and then I think that was it.
Yeah, they lost the next round.
So, like, I don't.
He was also
He
19
was
years old
way
at that
worse.
time.
Way worse.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
even
he's
close.
Also on a better team.
Yeah, but the level he's at now is way of a bigger gap than the gap between Oklahoma and Norfolk State, I think. I'm gonna throw a name out there, Chris, if you don't mind.
Throw all the names you want.
We're talking about small guards.
Jalen Brunson is going to be the name.
I already
No,
said
Jalen Brunson does it.
I already said Jalen Brunson. Yeah, you got him doing good. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a guy that might be a little bit better than Jalen Brunson, Timmy. Actually, Peyton Pritchard. What do we think? He's a
No.
volume scorer.
He did take Oregon on some good runs.
He took Oregon on some pretty good runs, and like you see him against like the bums at the end of the year, like the Wizards and stuff like that. He had like a
Yeah, he's the
30-point
best
triple
player.
double.
He's the best player on the court by far when you're talking about the non-stars. I would
Yeah.
say.
He's a stud. He's a stud.
The
And he's like-
non-household names.
But the thing is, he's a small guard, so that's a negative. But the thing is, like, he could go crazy. Like, he could have 40-point games, like he did in the NBA. What do we think? I mean, if we're saying no to Trae Young, I don't think we could say yes to Peyton Pritchard. But
I mean, I'm obviously not saying no to Trae Young, but like, I'm gonna lean no for Payton Pritchard, but like it sounds like everyone else is saying like a hard no.
What's the lowest guy for you guys? You guys are more
So-
NBA guys.
So
That's the best way to do it.
So it sounds like So it sounds like John's a little more skeptical than me and Matt's. But
I just
John,
think we're undervaluing how much of a team game college basketball.
that's the biggest argument against my
Not
point.
even
For sure.
that you're undervaluing it. I just think that like I don't even think about it in that way sometimes too. You know.
yeah, I do agree. But I also think we're undervaluing how good NBA guys are offensively. You look at Mitchell Robinson offseason highlights, he's like doing like hezzy snatchback threes. Like I literally do not know if Rudy Gobert can do that. Like it might be physically impossible for him to do that, but I mean he definitely would play looser and stuff like that at Norfolk State.
That is a good point. The off-season workouts are always like, can this guy shoot a three this year? And then they never do because
They never do, yeah.
Just that
Yeah.
good. But it shows you how good they are. I mean, and the 3-point line's closer. No one's talked about that.
It's a midi.
Yeah.
But well,
Gobert
here's
sucks at those.
and I don't want people to think this is me being like. My question is, if a college team, if like a long college team plays a zone, and I understand NBA players can beat zone easily, right?
Yes.
But it doesn't make it harder on the individual player. It makes it more of a team. Like you
Yes.
have
Very
to
good point.
utilize
That's true.
your
Yeah.
and again, this is all hypotheticals. I'm trying to look at like this. Okay, Michael Porter Jr. definitely. It's so tough because it's like
It's them as the number one option.
right,
Okay. So
Mike Porter Jr. was a stud
so
before he
good
broke his back.
because I'm just like I'm looking at it. And I'm just like, oh, Michael Porter Jr. probably would do it, and then I'm like, Trae Young is better than Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
tough.
yeah, because he's like like I said in the group chat the other day, but like because like, about Zach Edey, which granted Purdue was a much better team than Norfolk State obviously, but what seed would they have been without him? I don't know. Like like they'd still be a tournament team obviously. Would they be a top 8 seed? I don't know if they would or not. But I don't know. I'm not really sure. It's just one of those things that's impossible to determine.
Chris,
But-
who's your worst guy?
My worst guy on this list, I want to say,
Is Draymond?
I did not write down Draymond's name. No. Although-
They do not win their conference if Draymond is their number one option. They're not making the tournament.
I mean, if I said Rudy Gobert, if I did say Rudy Gobert, I have to say Draymond Green. I feel like actually because Draymond's a lot better on offense. And no, you don't think so?
No, because Draymond's 6'7". I mean, that is
Yeah.
big
Good
for
size
college,
for
but
Gobert.
Gobert's 7'2". Like he's
Yeah,
huge.
true. Yeah, very
That's
true.
the advantage that Bear gives you.
Yeah. So, Joel Embiid would be my worst player actually. So, I
What
guess
about,
my.
like Fred VanVleet? Like that's an interest. That's
Yeah.
on the border kind of
Yeah.
guy.
So okay. So yeah. Like I'll separate my. You guys don't have to do this, but I would do it. Yeah. So I'll separate mine by position. So like big, I'll go Gobert. I don't think there's a worse big in the league that you can add on. I don't think at least. And yeah, I don't think there's a worse big that you can. Wing, I guess Porter. Yeah. Like maybe Porter, maybe Aaron Gordon. Yeah.
Mikal
one-
Bridges does it.
Bridges
Jimmy
better than-
Butler does
What do you
not
think?
because he got into an argument with the athletic director prior
About
to-
NIL money.
Yeah, because he's a scumbag, and he's never won a championship. By the way,
What about like Julius Randle?
I think Randall does it.
I think Randall does it for sure.
Like
again?
he's
Maybe
6'8".
I'm putting more emphasis on like size, but it's a factor. Like how
Yeah.
many aside from like Cooper Flag, how many like
Well, even against Cooper Flag, Julius Randle's a man.
Yeah, he's a
like,
big
when
guy.
you see him in person, that dude is massive.
he's like 6'8",
Yeah.
6'9", like that's a properly sized like
And
center
he's
power
like,
forward.
I'm more so thinking muscle mass and thickness. Like
Yeah.
he is a
Yeah.
bull.
Build strength.
You don't think Mikhail does it, Timmy?
No.
Ooh,
No.
okay.
That's such a Nick fan answer there. So tired of that, dude.
No.
Yeah. If we weren't over by half an hour, we'd call JC and see if we can get his takes on the situation. But
2 in the morning.
Yeah.
JC was saying, do you think he was like Chris Paul would be fun? I was like, why would that be fun?
So my I doubt the one or either of them are watching this now, but we had a fire drill the other day and like you could tell my kids were a little antsy, so like and they like basketball, so like it was while this group chat was going on, so I was like, oh, I'll ask them the question to get them locked in. So I said, okay guys, so think about this, like think of like the 16 seeds in the bracket tournaments. Who do you think is the worst player in the NBA that could lead it there? They're like, oh, that's a good question. They thought about it for like a minute. One was like, I think Asar Thompson could do it. I was like, okay, I love that guess, but no, I do not think that Asar Thompson could do that.
Chris.
Yeah.
What about 2025 Al Horford?
Hmm.
I don't know if he could play the games. That's the thing.
No, I don't think so.
It is a
Even
playoff environment.
It's a playoff environment. He's going up against guys that are literally half his age.
Maybe if they had a beauty contest, he'd win because he's so damn handsome.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, they don't have many Joel Embiids out there for him to shut down. Yeah, he'd have to be moving a lot more. But that's okay. Okay. Yeah. So my answer is Rudy Gobert, I think. But
What about from a guard standpoint?
From a guard standpoint,
Red Van Vliet was a good one, Chris.
that was done. Yeah.
Would go undefeated if he was facing a Celtics level college team.
Let's see.
He's a stud. Mark.
I might go with James Harden.
He would do it.
You think he's too good? Okay.
He's
you think
too good. Yeah.
Okay.
He's so good.
My guard is Kobe White.
Okay, I like that.
I think Kobe White's really good too.
Same.
I think there's like a different level where, like a different tier where they guys could still do it.
What about Bradley Beal? Mars will talk about Mars will talk about the other day. He said like he said like it's kind of hard to evaluate Beal because at the end of the day people are always going to compare him to his contracts, but like
yeah,
he's still an okay player. Could he again like he
30 in a season?
Yeah.
And again,
yeah, I was getting my license, I think, when he averaged 30.
Yeah, I know. And again, I just like shit all over Trae Young.
I graduated high school. I graduated college when he did.
I don't know why it feels like more like comfortable to pick Bradley Beal over Trae Young, because I think they're like similar, but Trae Young's better. But I still feel more comfortable with Bradley Beal. I don't know why that is.
Size.
It's a size thing, right?
It's the size, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they're both very bad on defense, but
so bad.
Yeah. So. Okay.
I don't know if Bradley Beal could do it present day.
That's fine. But
it needs to play the game.
So
yeah, that's the thing.
So
he's gonna sit out the round of 32 because his knee hurts.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, so I said at least 40. We're done 40 guys that are locks. We just added on other guys that like are like have like a big gap in between some of the other guys we thought of. So. Again, we didn't come to a conclusion about this answer at all, by the way. So that's okay. But
There's no way.
I mean, yeah, no, because there's too many outside factors. There's a human element to the game, obviously. But I don't know. We'll revisit this in 1 year from now. So, again,
they should do this.
Yeah. So.
Put Rudy Gobert on Norfolk State.
So I just got a notification from Adam Schefter. It was Luka Doncic. So like I thought he had like a really insane play or like he had like a really big off. I thought he did something really cool, which he did something really cool. He shot it from behind the basket, but I don't feel like that's worth that. It's during NFL season. I don't think you should be tweeting something out like that when I'm looking to see who the Giants' next quarterback is going to be. So not that we should care about that
getting
either.
Further and further from the defensive side. Let's try to stay as far away as possible.
Yeah, exactly. All right, but Timmy, always a pleasure. You've been awesome in both shows that we've had. So we're looking forward to having you back on next year for this. I really
appreciate it. This is always my favorite part of the year, and like I never really feel like it's March until I get on the AAH
Exactly.
pod.
Ah,
And then I'm like, all right, this is actually
March,
happening.
baby.
appreciate that, Timmy. We're definitely looking forward to some college basketball going on. But yeah, again, Timmy, thanks. John Matz, thanks as always for coming on. But yeah, until next time, make sure to follow All American Hooper on all social media platforms. You subscribe to @SportsFluence on YouTube to catch every episode on Thursdays at 8. We are not going on tomorrow. We went on today instead because the college games are on tomorrow. And also be sure to follow @SportsFluent on Instagram, TikTok, and X. And in addition to All American Hoops podcast, we also have the new NBA Max podcast. Not really that new anymore. We've had I think 6 episodes at this point. With myself, Sports Fluent, Ori B, and Jalen Carter. It's a great show. Yeah, hoping to get all the other viewers of the show to tune on there. It's a great show that we got going on. But this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Until then, keep grinding, stay hooping.
Oh, Canada. Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
No, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.